I decided to quit weed, and I thought I was ready for the cravings. I thought I knew what I was signing up for. But I was completely, fundamentally unprepared for the absolute physical and emotional hurricane of the first few days. It wasn't just wanting to smoke. It was my entire body and mind in open rebellion. If you're about to quit, or you're in that storm right now, this is the unfiltered guide I desperately wish I'd had. This is the truth about surviving the initial chaos. Here are the 5 things you absolutely need to know. The timeline varies, but you can prepare. The first thing I wish someone had drilled into my head is that withdrawal isn't just a flat line of misery. It's a series of waves. And for me, it felt like climbing a terrifying mountain that peaked right around day 3. It's different for everyone, so don't hold this as a universal rule. Clinical sources show symptoms usually start within 24 to 48 hours, with a peak hitting anywhere between days 2 and 6. For some, especially heavy users, symptoms can last for a couple of weeks or even longer. For me, day 1 brought a false sense of confidence. I was a little restless and irritable, but I thought, I've got this. I was cleaning, keeping busy, thinking my willpower was a superpower. That was just the hike to the base of the mountain. Day 2 is when the real physical storm gathered. That's when the first wave of serious insomnia hit. I was exhausted but couldn't sleep. My mind just wouldn't shut off. The cold sweat started, and the irritability from day 1 turned into a simmering rage looking for a fight. And then for me, there was day 3. I wish I'd known to circle this day on my calendar. This was my peak. It felt like the danger zone where most people might relapse because everything, physically and mentally, was at its absolute worst. The headaches, nausea, and intense night sweats all hit their crescendo for me on that day. Knowing there's a peak, whenever it might come for you, gives you a real goal. It's not an infinite hell, it's a battle to a summit. If you can just survive that initial intense phase, you've likely weathered the worst of the physical onslaught. It doesn't mean it's over, but it means you've crested the biggest hill. Your brain will lie to you. The second thing, and this is maybe the most important, is that your brain will become a pathological liar. It will whisper, then shout the most convincing, manipulative lines you've ever heard. It's a psychological trickster, and its only goal is to get you to relapse. The lies sound like, you can't have fun without it. You can't handle stress without it. Life is boring and gray now. But the most powerful lie of all is, just one hit will make this pain go away. Just one, and you can start over tomorrow. That's the siren song of relapse. I remember standing in my kitchen on day 2, and my brain created this whole story that I was a more creative, insightful, and interesting person when I was high. It told me I was abandoning the best part of myself. It was a lie, a desperate plea from a system used to a chemical shortcut. Here's a simple way to think about why this happens. Regular cannabis use influences your brain's reward pathways, partly by affecting dopamine signaling. When you quit, your brain's entire system has to recalibrate. That feeling of dread, hopelessness, and the inability to feel pleasure is a very real neurochemical state. Your brain isn't getting what it expects, so it's doing everything it can to convince you to provide it. Knowing this is a superpower. When you hear those thoughts, you don't have to take them as truth. You can step back and say, that's the withdrawal talking. That's not me. That's my brain's reward system rebooting. Recognizing the lie is the first step to disarming it. You must treat sleep like your job. Thing number 3. For the first week, sleep is your new full-time job. It's your number 1 priority because insomnia is often the most debilitating symptom, and it's the one that can break you. A large number of people who quit, somewhere between 40 and 70%, report sleep problems. It creates a vicious downward spiral. You can't sleep because of the anxiety and restlessness, and the lack of sleep makes the anxiety and restlessness 10 times worse the next day. You become a frayed nerve, emotionally and physically exhausted, which makes you incredibly vulnerable to those lies your brain is telling you. I wish I'd had a real strategy. Here's the strategy I wish I knew. First, accept that your sleep will probably be terrible, and don't fight it. Lying in bed, forcing it, only makes the anxiety worse. Instead, focus on sleep hygiene. This means a strict routine. Go to bed and get up at the same time, no matter how little you slept. Keep your room cool and dark. A cool room is essential for battling the night sweats. Now, as a psychiatrist, it is absolutely crucial that you talk to a healthcare professional before taking any medication or supplement. But for my survival, I looked into over-the-counter sleep aids. My goal wasn't a perfect 8 hours. It was to get any sleep, just to interrupt that downward spiral for the first few nights. Some people also find supplements like magnesium for relaxation or melatonin to be helpful. Again, please talk to a doctor. The goal is to give your body the rest it desperately needs to fight the other symptoms. Food is fuel, not fun, and you have to force it. For a few days, food is not for pleasure. It is purely fuel. You will likely experience a complete loss of appetite. Food might seem disgusting. One person described it as tasting like gray cardboard. My first instinct was, well, if I'm not hungry, I just won't eat. This was a huge mistake. Skipping meals can make irritability, headaches, and fatigue feel so much worse. Your body is already under extreme stress. Depriving it of energy is like sending a soldier into battle without ammo. You have to eat, even when you're not hungry. And what you eat really matters. This is probably not the time for comfort junk food. Sugary, processed foods can cause your blood sugar to spike and crash, which can feel like pouring gasoline on the fire of your mood swings. Here are the new rules of food for those first few days. Avoid simple carbs and added sugars. Choose lean proteins, fresh fruits, vegetables, and bland, easy-to-digest meals. And hydrate aggressively. Drink water like your life depends on it, because you'll be losing a lot of fluid through sweating, and helping your body flush its systems is part of the process. Force it down if you have to. Your mood will thank you for it. All right, we're in the thick of it, but we're getting through this together. If you are on this journey right now, whether you are on day 1 or day 1,000, drop a comment below. Let's create a wall of support for each other right here. You are not alone in this fight. And if this guide is helping you, please hit that subscribe button, because my journey didn't stop after the first week, and I am going to share everything I've learned about what comes next. The physical storm is real, and you can prepare for it. The final thing I desperately wish I'd known is how to prepare for the sheer physicality of withdrawal. It's not just in your head, it is a full body experience. Let's talk about the sweats. The night sweats and cold sweats are a sign of your body's autonomic nervous system working overtime to rebalance itself after being influenced by THC for so long. They can peak anywhere in that first week. You might wake up drenched, your sheets soaked. It's uncomfortable and gross, but I want you to reframe it. It's a powerful sign of your body healing and recalibrating. It is not poison leaving your system. That's a myth. THC is primarily eliminated by the liver, then through feces and urine. A practical tip: keep a clean towel and even a spare set of sheets next to your bed. At 3 a.m. when you're exhausted and soaked, not having to stumble around for clean bedding feels like a huge win. Then there are the cravings. A craving feels like it will last forever. It feels like an unbearable, all-consuming need. But that's a lie. A craving is a wave. It builds, it peaks, and then it passes. For many people, the most intense part of a craving usually only lasts for a handful of minutes. Here's your strategy: the 10-minute rule. When a craving hits, don't fight it. Acknowledge it, and then set a timer on your phone for 10 minutes. Tell yourself you just have to survive for 10 minutes. Go for a walk, take a cold shower, do anything to change your environment. By the time that timer goes off, the worst of the wave will have likely passed. Each craving you outlast is a victory that makes you stronger for the next one. Finally, break your triggers. If you always smoked at 5 p.m. after work, you cannot have an empty space there. That routine must be immediately and forcefully replaced. Go to the gym, call a friend, start cooking. You have to actively reroute those neural pathways that have been carved in your brain. So, let's recap the survival guide. 1. Know that the timeline varies, but the first week is often the most intense physical climb. 2. Your brain is a liar during withdrawal. Recognize the lies and don't believe them. 3. Sleep is your job. Protect it fiercely with a smart strategy. 4. Food is fuel. Eat clean, even when you don't want to. And 5, prepare for the physical storm. Ride out the waves of sweats and cravings with practical tools. The first week of quitting weed can be a finite period of hell. There is no sugarcoating it. It's a storm of physical and emotional chaos. But it is a storm that has an end. It feels like an eternity when you're in it, but getting through those first few days is a monumental achievement. It's the solid foundation upon which you'll build a new, clearer life. The pain of this short period is temporary, but the freedom and clarity you're fighting for are lasting. It is hard, but I promise you it is worth it, and you are so much stronger than you think. Share your story in the comments. We're all in this together. Subscribe for more on the journey to a clearer life. You've got this.